What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response. Now, I thought of something I wanted to start doing on the videos, kind of, a little bit of entertainment, I guess, before we get into the news or whatever. So, y'all let me know down in the comment section if you guys enjoy this, you want me to continue to do this. I think it'd be pretty fun, kind of entertaining, a little bit. We're going to show clips of the left, just insane comments that they make on television, y'all. So, check this out right quick.
You have to be demented to stand on stage and start dancing when it's a town hall. I mean, we have two sides of Donald Trump right now. One, we have just this grave threat to all that we hold dear, our Constitution, our democracy. On the same hand, I would say the principal driving force of his incompetency is the fact that he is not all there. He's a couple fries short of a Happy Meal at this point, and that's why he's standing up there dancing to the YMCA. He can barely do the YMCA if you actually check out the video. And so this is a story in a video. You don't even actually have to listen to his words. And it's just imperative at this point that the campaign pushes those two separate narratives. Grave threat, and also just supremely incompetent and entering the final stages of his life. I feel bad for his family right now. I know so many people have to deal with their parents as they've gone through stages of dementia, and that's clearly what they are on the precipice of having to deal with now, but he certainly should go nowhere near the Oval Office.
So, essentially what they're trying to get at right there is just, okay, imagine Hitler in his 80s. That's what you're getting with Donald Trump, right? Like making these two same arguments that he has dementia and he's senile, but on the other hand, hang on, don't forget, Orange Man is Hitler, right? Like making those two arguments at the same time kind of doesn't make any sense. But, they're taking something very innocuous. Trump was doing a town hall, in case you guys don't know the background of that video. He was doing a town hall. Some people fainted or something in the crowd. They had a medical emergency, and they pretty much had to shut it down. So while everybody was leaving or whatever, they played music. And Trump started, doing his little thing on stage or whatever. And now they're saying he's senile, y'all. Like, he doesn't know he's demented. I feel sorry for his family. These people, they just never cease to amaze me. Their insanity, this delusional world that they live in, just blows my mind absolutely every single time. It's just great. But what's up, y'all? Hey, y'all need to do me a favor right quick. If you could, I would greatly appreciate it if y'all could do this. Smash that like button for me if you don't mind, right? Like, YouTube's trying to keep me in a box. The information that I put out to you guys, they don't want you guys having for some reason, because I cover news that's outside of the focus of the mainstream news. So, we can't be having this. We can't have an informed populace on our hands. I don't know what we'll do if we have an informed citizenry, for crying out loud. So they try to keep me in a box. So if y'all could do me a big favor, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. That really, really helps a lot. Engaging with the video, leaving comments helps a lot. But tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody you know. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That's the best way to help me out. And I really, really need the help. Once again, look at the subscriber count. Look at the views on this video. Yeah, I need some help spreading the message, y'all. So enough of that garbage. Let's go ahead and get into the news right quick, because yeah, we talked about this one before, and yeah, it's back in the news again. Check this out, y'all. Supreme Court allows rule limiting pollution from coal-fired power plants to remain in effect. Now, that may sound like an innocuous headline, right? Like, oh, well, that's nothing. Sure. I mean, why would we want the states polluting everywhere? But this is the good neighbor rule. This rule is implemented by Joe Biden, and it's quite insane, if you ask me. Let's get into it, and we'll talk about it. The Supreme Court on Wednesday allowed a Biden administration regulation aimed at limiting planet-warming pollution from coal-fired power plants to remain in place as legal challenges play out. The justices rejected a push from Republican-led states and industry groups to block the EPA rule, marking the third time this month the conservative majority has left an environmental regulation in place for now. So, once again, I'm going to get out there and say, the left, they're constantly talking about, oh, we're having having a crisis in the judiciary. Oh, the Supreme Court has a legitimacy problem. Now they're ruling in favor of the left. I can almost guarantee you these people are going to cheer for this. Right? The Supreme Court doesn't always rule in everybody's favor. They try to be, and they need to be, very impartial. They need to look at the evidence, look at everything that's going on, drop their biases, and just rule according to the law. Now, apparently, this going through is lawful. But there's a caveat to that. Let's keep going. One justice, Clarence Thomas, publicly dissented, which Clarence Thomas, by the way, is one of the most based Supreme Court justices we have. If you haven't seen it, I would suggest go looking up Clarence Thomas's confirmation hearing. It's from the 90s. As a matter of fact, the chairman of that committee that was leading that hearing was none other than Senator Joe Biden. And it was one of the most racist hearings I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And this happened in the mid-90s when we thought racism was gone, y'all. Yeah, it's insane. Two other conservative justices, Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch, said in a brief order they thought the challengers would likely win on at least some of their claims eventually. But the rule doesn't need to be blocked now because compliance work wouldn't have to begin until June 2025, and the case could end up back before the High Court relatively quickly, Kavanaugh wrote. So, basically what they're trying to get at, I'm sure you could surmise that, yeah, okay, there's more litigation coming down the pipeline, and we're going to have another chance to block this rule, so there's no need to be dissenting or, to block it right now. So we're going to go ahead and let it pass, because if you don't know about this rule, I talked about this. I made several videos on this rule itself. It's quite insane. The good neighbor rule, it has a whole lot of effects. The EPA put in a regulation. Now, from just listening to it, right, they're trying to prevent pollution. And the good neighbor rule pretty much is trying to prevent cross-state pollution, which we know we have an atmosphere and you can't stop pollution. It's in the air. There's nothing you can really do about it. But the insanity that comes from the good neighbor rule, one of the challenges is basically it allows states to sue other states if they're letting pollution come in. If they're not in compliance with the rules, they're letting pollution and it comes into their state, they can sue the other state for damages from climate change, y'all. It's one of the most insane rules I think I've ever heard. But one of the bases of the rule is that coal-fired power plants, particularly, they have to install scrubbers, basically. It's carbon capture technology to put on the stacks that emit the CO2 and all the other noxious gases to capture up to 90%. That's the baseline. 90% of the CO2 that's produced by this stack. Now, the insane part, and the crap that I talk about constantly, is, okay, Joe Biden wants this done by 2032. And guess what, folks? That technology is not even fully developed yet, right? It's still 2 to 3 years out. So, he wants this done by 2032. So that leaves, 4 to 6 years to install this technology on every single stack and every single coal power plant in this country by 2032. Once again, this is insanity. At a time when we're struggling to buy groceries, these people want your energy costs to shoot through the freaking roof, because that's what it's going to do, because they're going to have to dump millions, if not billions of dollars to hurry up this technology, hurry up and get it invented, purchase all the technology, get companies, specialized companies, to come out and install this technology in a timely fashion. That's going to raise your energy prices. It's going to make them skyrocket, by the way. This is the insane part, right? Like, I totally understand the climate's changing, although we just had the founder of the Weather Channel. I don't know if you guys have seen this clip. It was quite eye-opening. The founder of the Weather Channel comes out, and I don't know how much of a scientist this guy is, but he comes out and he outright states on CNN, says climate change is an outright hoax. there is no evidence that humans' industrialization is changing the climate in any significant way. We do know the climate is changing. There's lots of data to say this. My thing is, can we prove that it's human intervention that is accelerating the climate change, or is this a natural shift in the temperament of our planet, right? Like, how do we know this? Now, like, we have a pretty good idea, but we don't know for sure because we haven't been taking data long enough to determine that. I think these scientists, they're so arrogant. They see a trend with the climate, what it's doing, it's warming up. We're coming out of an interglacial period currently, right? We're still coming out of it, and we're going into a glacial period. So, yes, the planet's getting warmer before it starts to cool down. That's what it's supposed to do. We can look back through the records and see that the planet has warmed up and cooled down in a cycle since we've had an atmosphere, for crying out loud. Right? Like, they can look at ice core samples. There's all kinds of stuff they can look at to determine this. And we can see it fluctuates. That's why they always say, like, oh, well, this temperature hasn't been this temperature in 100 years or something like that. We've had the hottest summer on record, blah, 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 blah. Well, it hasn't been like this in over 10 million years. You know what I'm saying? So hang on when they say statements like that. No, it hasn't been this hot in 10 million years. So it has been this hot before. And humans didn't have cars back then. We didn't have coal-fired power plants back then. What caused the climate to change back in the day? And are we causing it now? Because for some reason, the climate seems to have shifted constantly throughout its history. So can we prove with 100% certainty that human intervention is absolutely changing the climate, and that the climate is going to spike for some reason, and we're going to go past this line in the freaking sand that we're not going to be able to come back from? That's what I would love to know. Like, they can't prove that outright. Now, I am a believer in climate change. Let me know if you are down in the comment section. Do you think that humans are intervening? I personally don't know. I think there's good evidence to show that we are. Now, I don't buy into all this climate agenda hoax BS, because it's the same people that are telling you to stop flying around in jets. These coal-fired power plants need to be shut down. It's the same people that have no problem going to their house in the evening, turning on their electricity that comes from a coal-fired power plant, getting in their internal combustion engine vehicle, driving up the road to the airport, getting in their private jet, and flying all across the world constantly from their beachfront property. As a matter of fact, that's what I don't get, and that's why I don't buy into their agenda crap that we only have 10 years left. Well, we've been only having 10 years left for the past 50 years, since the freaking 1970s, right? So what is it here? Like, is the polar ice caps really going to melt? Because if they are, why the hell did you buy beachfront property? And why the hell are you still flying around on that private jet, which is a significant polluter? It puts out so much CO2, it's insane. I don't have any numbers on hand because that's not what we're talking about. But, well, we kind of are, but you know what I mean. I don't want to get way off into the woods on this, but let's keep going. Justice Samuel Alito did not take part. The rule requires many coal-fired power plants to capture 90% of their carbon emissions or shut down within 8 years. That is right. So, that's the really insane part to this rule. And I'm sorry, I know I just came off of a rant. But, hey, you know, the news reminded me of this. They want to shut these coal-fired power plants down. Now, I've surmised before in the past that, do I think that they will actually shut these down? I don't think so. Because now, if they do, just imagine that. You got large swaths of the country. It's going to be without electricity? I mean, seriously, the Biden administration and the EPA has no backup plan for if they have to shut these coal-fired power plants down. There's no backup plan. There's no, solar panels that they're going to bring in and give to everybody, to everybody's house and everybody's business and everything. Like, there's no backup plan whatsoever. So that tells me that, hey, if you go ahead and implement this rule and you end up shutting these coal-fired power plants down, that means the people that are surrounding that power plant are going to go without electricity. Like, does Joe Biden really want to do this? Like, it's like these people are stupid or something. Like you got to think somebody like Joe Biden, he can't be that stupid, right? He can't be. This guy's been in politics for 50 years. He went to law school, for crying out loud. These people can't be that stupid. It's like they have no thought whatsoever of the ramifications of their decisions. It's almost as if all their thoughts and all their decisions are based off of a virtue signal. Oh, what can I get my constituents to think about me? Right? If I do this, all these climate agenda people will be cheering to the high heavens, for crying out loud. That's what it seems like to me, because he's not thinking this through. Because once again, if you shut these coal-fired power plants down, these people are going to be without electricity. You're going to ship them back to the late 1800s. As a matter of fact, it's insanity, y'all. The challengers argued that the EPA overstepped and imposed unattainable standards. That is right. That's what I happen to think as well. Because, in 8 years from now, to have that technology, once again, like I said earlier, 2 to 3 years out. So that's 5 to 6 years to install this technology on every single coal-fired power plant. Do you really think that's attainable? I don't think it is. Maybe they need to push that date back. Like, I totally agree with putting the carbon capture technology. Once again, I do believe in the climate change. I don't buy into the climate agenda garbage, but I think we are changing the climate. We need to be better stewards of the climate, and we do need to watch what we put into our atmosphere. We want good, clean air to breathe, for crying out loud. But you can't sacrifice civilization for your damn virtue signal. And that's what Joe Biden is doing. Joe Biden. That's right. Rich Nolan, president and CEO of the National Mining Association, said his group would continue to fight the rule. He said it would require power plants to use unaffordable technology or shut down at a time when the nation's electricity demand is forecast to double. If this rule is allowed to stand, the results for the American people and economy will be catastrophic, he said. I happen to agree with that. Once again, you start shutting down electricity, like people don't have electricity, I would consider that catastrophic. Right? We already complain about blackouts. Or like, imagine if that blackout was intentional. Like they intentionally went over and just turned this power plant completely off. Said you're on your own. That's insane. The power industry is the nation's second largest contributor to climate change, and the rule is a key part of President Joe Biden's pledge to eliminate carbon pollution from the electricity sector by 2035 and economy-wide by 2050. The Natural Resources Defense Council said the new standards are modest. Right. Yeah, they're modest. Shutting down coal-fired power plants, yeah, that's just modest. That's not extreme in any fashion whatsoever. But vital. And the court's decision to leave them in place is a win for common sense. Is it really common sense? Like, let me know down in the comment section. You guys know the deets on this, right? I just told you all the deets. And as a matter of fact, you can go and look all this stuff up. Right? That it's just a simple Google search. You can go look this up. It's just insane to me. Is this really common sense? Like, seriously. This warrants a sigh of relief from the millions of Americans experiencing the impacts of climate change. Of the climate crisis. Sorry. I had some stuff going in my head because really, right, like seriously. Holy crap. Okay, so once again, do you really think that the climate warming up a little bit over a very long period of time is better than us going without electricity completely? Like, which one is it? Like, these people just don't think. It's a giant virtue signal, and I really just can't get over that. How insane their thoughts are, how insane their proposals and policies are to undermine society. That's what it's doing. The Supreme Court earlier this month also left 2 other regulations aimed at reducing industry emissions of planet-warming methane and toxic mercury in place for now. Other environmental regulations have not fared well before the conservative majority court in recent years. In 2022, the justices limited the EPA's authority to regulate carbon dioxide emissions from power plants with a landmark decision. In June, the court halted the agency's air pollution fighting good neighbor rule. That's right, that's the same thing we're talking about here. Another ruling in June overturned a decades-old decision known colloquially as Chevron. Is also expected to make environmental regulations more difficult to set and keep, along with other federal actions. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce cited that ruling in court papers supporting the challenge in the coal plant case. An appeals court allowed the EPA's new power plant rule to go into effect. Now, that Chevron deference, that was a very, very huge win for conservatives, outright. Because basically, what that Chevron deference did is now, like, okay, anytime a rule like this good neighbor rule got sued, got challenged in the courts, what the court basically did is they deferred to the experts. So, once again, they go and get some climate agenda people, these climate cultists, because that's what they are, cultists. They would call in these cultists to come in and say, yes, this is a good rule, you need to do it. Right? And this is for all kinds of policies. Pretty much any policy that the Biden administration or a Trump administration would come out with, right, and get challenged. Now, it's going to be up to a judge to decide. You're going to hear oral arguments or whatever. He's going to hear from experts. Like they got pissy and moany over this. Like, oh my God, we don't want a judge deciding. Like, we want the experts deciding. A judge isn't an expert on all this. Like, but hang on, they're acting like that the judges wouldn't have oral arguments and they wouldn't hear from experts. Of course, they're going to hear from both sides and then make a ruling. They're going to hear about the impacts of whatever policy. They're going to make a ruling on this. What is the best ruling under the law? Instead of deferring to the experts to make a ruling, they're going to make the ruling themselves, which is a very good idea because it would stop garbage like this outright. If it doesn't make sense, a judge, and once again, folks, I talked about this yesterday. This is why presidents, they do have a very important job because they recommend judges to be sit on the court circuit, right? On the appeals circuit, the federal circuit, the Supreme Court. You know, this is, Trump constantly talks about overturning Roe versus Wade, putting the justices on the Supreme Court to do this, which is a good idea. But, when you have an administration like Joe Biden, he's put nothing but activists on the circuit outright. This is why the Senate is so important too, because they have to confirm these people, and they can hold these people up, stop them from being confirmed outright. Let's keep going though. A panel of 3 judges, 2 nominated by Democratic President Barack Obama and 1 by Republican President Donald Trump, found that the states were not at risk of immediate harm because compliance deadlines do not take effect until 2030 or 2032. The EPA projects the rule would yield up to $370 billion in climate and health net benefits and avoid nearly 1.4 billion metric tons of carbon pollution through 2047, equivalent to preventing annual emissions of 328 million gasoline-powered cars. Yeah, but what they're not telling you is Yeah, if you do that to the detriment of the citizenry, I don't think the citizenry is ever going to vote Democrat ever again. Like, seriously. If you force people to go without electricity, right? And I could just see it right now. Joe Biden saying, oh, well, you should have bought solar panels. Like some crap like that. Or getting out there and saying, well, look, one time I had to go 2 weeks without electricity. We had a storm come. Like, shut your freaking mouth, Joe Biden. Seriously. These people are insane. They'll get out there and they'll tell you the benefits. This is the manipulations of the corporate press. This was very beneficial for, the Biden administration, I should say. Sorry for that slip up right there. But you notice they left out a whole lot of pertinent information. Like the result of if these power plants didn't put this technology in the time frame allotted. They would be slated to be shut down. That's insane. That is outright insane. Plus, they didn't tell you, like they went into the net benefits, $370 billion in net benefits. Right. Hang on, though. If every coal-fired power plant in the country, pretty much, has to put this technology in, which costs a lot because it's not fully developed yet, so it's going to be new technology, essentially, has to install this, how much is that going to cost the taxpayer in their electricity bills? At a time when groceries are high, we just had a period of 9% inflation. We had, what was it, about a year, I guess? Let me know, fact check me down in the comments if you want, about a year of high inflation. Yeah, and prices are on average 30% higher than they were just a couple of years previous. Like there's some things, certain products that are freaking 200 and 300% higher than they were just 2 years ago. That's insanity. That is outright insanity. And now they expect you, because of their stinking climate religion, they want you to pay higher electricity bills. These people are out of their freaking mind, I tell you. Once again, like I said, I'm an advocate for a clean environment. We don't need to be polluting all the Great Pacific garbage patch down there. Sorry, took me a second to get that out. All the plastic we put into the oceans and all that garbage, we need to stop that, y'all. We really need to be good stewards of the planet. And putting tons and tons and tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere might not be a good thing. Or at least if we do, it needs to be offset with more nitrogen and more oxygen, for crying out loud. But, we can't shut down civilization in the process. I am a firm believer that we can innovate our way through climate change. Like, this technology is a good idea. Putting scrubbers, right? Like, I imagine one day in the future, because all cars aren't going to go electric, even though a lot of people want that, but I don't believe that's going to be the case. I believe that someday in the near future, this same technology can be installed in a muffler on a car to capture 90% of all the noxious gases that come out from the internal combustion engine. I have a firm belief in that. I think that that's feasible to do, but not in a short period of time. Right? Over time, we can get this done. The climate isn't going to implode in the next 10 years. I'm sorry. No matter how much data you see, that just can't happen. It's arrogant for these people to think so. And I am running way long on this video. I try to keep them to 20 minutes, but I like to run my mouth a little bit because I'm not a big talker, y'all. I don't get out there and my coworkers and start running my mouth like I'm doing now. I don't do that a whole hell of a lot. I'm a quiet person. If you come up, you start a conversation, we can have a conversation. But I generally do not start conversations, and I generally do not get out there and start railing against crap like this to just anybody and everybody. But, seeing the manipulations of the corporate press and seeing all this garbage, I felt like I had to do something. Plus, I was bored. To be honest, to be completely fair, I was bored. Didn't have nothing to do. And wanted to start making videos. So, y'all let me know what y'all think. Seriously, How am I doing, in other words? That's what I would like to know from you guys. I do get some complimentary comments every once in a while, and they're very encouraging. You know, if you've got a criticism, somewhere I can improve, let me know down in the comments. Because, once again, I would like to do this for a living one day. Although with the shadow ban that YouTube has me on, I don't know if I ever will, but, you know, I'm trying to bust through that. That's why I need y'all's help to smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video anywhere and everywhere. But I think that's all I got for this one, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay logical. Peace.